Hello, my name is Nakisha and I'm going over Chapter 15, Treatments for Schizophrenia and Other Severe Mental Disorders, and I'll be going through pages 509 to 512. So my first slide is on social therapy. Many clinicians believe that um, the treatment should include techniques that address social and physical difficulties. The clinician's practical advice offers them problem solving, memory enhancement, decision making, social skills. They want to make sure that the clients are taking their medication, that the clinicians help them to find work, they help them with financial assistance, they help them with appropriate housing care and health care. They find this research that they did for this practical, active, and broad. This does indeed keep them from being in the hospital. And these two broad approaches are social therapy and personal therapy. Um, the community approach. This is the broadest approach to the treatment of schizophrenia and other severe mental illnesses. Um, in 1963, Congress passed the Community Health Act, which began decades of deinstitutionalization. In 55, they were close to 600,000 patients in institutions. So that's what made them start this, so that people can get out of the institutions and back into the community. So now today, there's fewer than 40,000 people that live in the facilities rather than in these hospitals. Um, the decades of the deinstitutionalization is an exodus of hundreds of thousands patients with schizophrenia, long-term mental disorders from, like I said, state institutions to get them back into to the community with assistance from the community, um, to help them, you know, feel better and stuff. And then what are the features of effective community care? So the features are medication, psychotherapy. They get help in handling daily pressures and responsibilities, guidance in decision making, social skills, residential supervision, vocational counseling. The combination of any of these services are assertive community treatment, meaning the person goes into the community like a hospital or clinic or something to get help. So when they do that, then they call it assertive community. um, in coordinated services, when the Community Health Act was passed, it was expected that the community would provide community health centers. So I want to say that's like family health centers to us here in San Diego. But treatment, the facilities would supply medication, psychotherapy, inpatient emergency care, um, to people with severe disservices, as well as coordinate services offered by different community agencies. So then we have some key features of community care programs. I just went over the coordination for the community health centers that they could go to help get, um, service. And then for the short care, um, hospitalization is when people develop severe psychotic symptoms, and today's clinicians try to first treat them on an outpatient basis, with a combination of antipsychotic medications and psychotherapy. If this approach fails, then they may try short-term hospitalization to for a couple of weeks, and then they will go through aftercare where they will be on an outpatient, just for outpatient follow-up and follow-up care and treatments that is in the community instead of inside of the institution that they were hospitalized at. So partial hospitalization is when they talk about day centers and day hospitals where instead of them having to stay inside of the hospital, they just will go there during the day for activities or to be monitored or for medication or whatever, and they would go home for in the night. And then supervised residencies are known as halfway houses or crisis groups or group homes. Those are people that don't require hospitalization but can't live on their own, or it's just too much to live with family or friends or whatever. So they are admitted to halfway houses. And in halfway houses, it's anywhere between 1 and 2 dozen people living there to be monitored every day. Halfway houses help most people recovering from schizophrenia and other diseases, so that that way they can adjust to get back to the into the community, so they won't be hospitalized, so to speak. They would just be in the halfway house, and then once they reach a certain point, then they will be released back into the community and probably do the day center or, you know, day hospital or whatever. And then the occupational training is also a paid employment that provides the patients with independence, which gives them the opportunity to be able to try to work and, get back into the community. And many people receiving occupational training, it's given in a sheltered workshop, so it's just for people with schizophrenia or other severe mental disorders there. So they would have them work in a typical environment which replicates the workspace, um, so they could get back. So they'll be making products such as toys or manufacturing simple appliances, but they're paid according to the performance and are expected to work regular and be on time, just like if they were going to be working in a regular job or establishment with someone else. And then my last slide would be on how the community has failed. How has community treatment failed? So 40 to 60% of patients who have schizophrenia or any severe don't have any treatment at all. Maybe they go into these facilities seeking help, or maybe they don't seek help at all. But there is no doubt that effective community programs can help people with schizophrenia or mental disorders. Half of the people who need appropriate care aren't there. Um, they don't get any treatment because of the poor coordination services, because there's a lot of problems in coordination, there's a lot of problems in communications. So thus being that the clinicians or the therapists have become case managers for the people with schizophrenia and other severe mental disorders. They try to coordinate available community services to help the people get into the community and have their services. They guide patients through the community system and help them with their legal rights. They just be their voice. They help them with, what they can't voice to the other, hospitals or whatnot. Um, Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.